My name is Sam, and for as long as I can remember, the smell of freshly cut grass and the thud of a football has been like breathing to me. I'm 18 years old, living in a small town here in Texas, where football isn't just a game, it's practically a religion. Most days you'd find me either at school, trying to wrap my head around geometry, or out on the dusty practice field behind the high school, kicking field goals until the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery oranges and purples. My senior year was supposed to be my big chance. I wasn't a star player, not in the way the quarterbacks or linebackers were, leaping and tackling with boundless energy. A few years ago, a car accident left me with a permanent limp, a constant reminder in my left leg that some things just don't go back to normal. I'm a kicker now, and sometimes a holder for extra points, which means I don't see a lot of play, but I put in the work. Every single day, I felt the dull ache in my knee, a deep throb that followed me from bed to practice, but I never let it stop me. I dreamt of a moment, just one moment, where I could make a real difference for the team, for my town. But mostly I just longed to be seen as a regular guy, a contributing member, not just Sam with the limp. My quiet struggle wasn't just physical. It was the constant whisper in the back of my mind, the internal nemesis that told me I wasn't quite enough. I saw the other guys effortlessly sprinting, jumping, tackling, and I felt a pang of envy. I knew they respected my dedication, but I could never shake the feeling that they also felt a little bit sorry for me. It was that fear of pity, the dread of being an afterthought, that really got to me. We were approaching the end of the season, and with it, the senior night game, a big deal for us graduating players. It was the last chance to play on our home field, to feel the roar of the crowd, to be recognized for all the years of hard work. I watched as other families planned big parties, parents proudly talking about their sons' futures. My own parents, bless their hearts, worked 2 jobs each just to keep our small house afloat. They were good people, always supportive, but I knew they couldn't afford a big fuss for my senior night. I didn't want to burden them, so I never mentioned it. I just kept kicking, kept practicing, telling myself that my contribution was enough, even if no one else noticed. But deep down, the doubt gnawed at me. Would anyone even show up for me? Would my last chance to feel like a true part of something big just pass by unnoticed? I tried to push past the doubt, to prove myself through sheer effort. I spent extra hours in the weight room, modified exercises to strengthen my leg without hurting it, and even helped some of the younger players with their homework, hoping to build connections beyond the field. I wanted to be more than just a guy who kicked a ball. I wanted to be a good teammate, a good person. But it felt like every step forward was met with 2 steps back. During one practice, Coach Henderson, who was fair but always seemed preoccupied with the star players, barely glanced my way as I perfectly kicked 5 field goals in a row. Later that week, I overheard 2 sophomores talking near my locker. "Sam's lucky to even be on the team," one whispered. "It's a sympathy spot, right?" For his leg, the words stung more than any tackle ever could. It confirmed my worst fears that my place was a pity, not earned. Then came the physical setback. My special football cleats, worn down from countless hours of practice, finally gave out. The support for my left foot, crucial for managing the pain, was gone. My parents couldn't spare the money for a new pair, not with the truck needing repairs and the electricity bill being higher than usual. I tried wrapping my foot, taping it up, but every kick sent a jolt of pain up my leg. It was getting harder to ignore. I even tried to fundraise a little, selling some old comic books at a yard sale, but it barely covered the cost of new tape. One afternoon, during a particularly grueling practice, my knee flared up worse than it had in years. I crumpled to the ground, the pain shooting through me, a chilling reminder of the accident that had changed everything. I lay there, helpless, watching my teammates run drills, feeling utterly useless. The thought that I might not even be able to play in the senior game, not even as a kicker, filled me with a deep despair. The week leading up to the senior game was the lowest point I'd ever felt. The pain in my leg was constant, throbbing even when I was just sitting in class. My cleats were held together with layers of duct tape, offering little to no real support. I tried to hide the limp, to pretend everything was fine, but I knew everyone could see it. I overheard my parents, late one night, talking in hushed tones about how tight money was, how they couldn't possibly afford anything extra. The idea of them sacrificing just for me to stand on a field for a few minutes, probably to an empty section of stands, felt like a betrayal. I stared at the worn football tucked into the corner of my room, the one my dad had given me when I was a kid before the accident, before everything changed, before I became Sam with the limp instead of just Sam. The thought of walking onto the field on senior night, seeing the other players celebrated with their families while I stood there feeling invisible, was unbearable. I considered faking sick just to avoid the humiliation. It felt like my life was destined to be lived on the sidelines, forever watching, never truly participating. The crushing weight of it all made me want to give up entirely. What was the point of pushing through the pain, the doubt, the financial strain if it all amounted to nothing? Game day arrived, a cool, crisp Texas evening, perfect football weather. My stomach was a knot of nerves and dread. I carried my beat-up helmet, my duct-taped cleats making a soft, sticky sound with every step. I tried to muster some enthusiasm, but inside I felt hollow. As I walked out of the locker room for warm-ups, I deliberately avoided looking at the stands. My heart was pounding, the usual pregame jitters mixed with a profound sense of loneliness. I could feel the familiar ache in my knee, a dull throb that promised a long, painful game. I walked onto the field, adjusting my helmet, ready to just get it over with. I kicked a few practice balls, the pain radiating up my leg, each contact a stark reminder of my limitations. My eyes flickered up almost against my will toward the bleachers. They were empty. A wave of crushing disappointment washed over me, just as I thought. I swallowed hard, trying to keep my chin up, telling myself it didn't matter. It was just a game. Then, as the official countdown began, something started to happen. A few cars pulled into the parking lot, then more. Small groups of people began to trickle into the stadium, not just on the home side, but on the visitor side, too. I saw Mrs. Gable, my third-grade teacher, waving shyly. Then Mr. Henderson, the owner of the hardware store, walked in with his whole family, and then a roar erupted. It wasn't the usual game day cheer. It was different, directed, powerful. I turned my head slowly, my eyes widening. The stands were filling, not just with a few people, but with everyone. The entire town seemed to be pouring in, a sea of faces. And then I saw them, banners, hand-painted signs held high. "G.O. Sam," one read. "Samus Spirit SHINES," another proclaimed. My throat tightened and my eyes welled up. My parents were there, standing front and center, tears streaming down my mother's face, my father beaming with pride. Coach Henderson walked over, a rare, genuine smile on his face. "Sam," he said, his voice softer than I'd ever heard it. "You're starting as kicker tonight. This town is here for you, son." My heart swelled, a feeling I hadn't known was possible washing over me. It was more than unexpected kindness. It was a tidal wave of love and belief. With the roar of the crowd chanting my name, I felt a surge of strength, of purpose. I took a deep breath, adjusted my helmet, and walked to my position, my limp forgotten for a moment, replaced by an unbelievable lightness. That night, I kicked a perfect field goal, and then in the final seconds with the game tied, I kicked the winning extra point, the crowd erupting around me. The ball sailed through the uprights, a beautiful arc against the darkening sky, and I knew in that moment that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. The roar of the crowd as that final kick sailed through the uprights was something I will carry with me forever. It wasn't just about the points. It was about being seen, truly seen, for the first time in what felt like forever. After the game, I was swamped. People I barely knew came up to hug me, to shake my hand, to tell me how proud they were. My parents were beaming, tears still in their eyes, and for the first time I felt like I hadn't been a burden but a source of joy. The next day, I learned the full story. It turned out that Sarah Jenkins, a quiet girl from my English class whom I'd once helped study for a big history test, had started it all. She'd gone to Coach Henderson after hearing those sophomores talk, then rallied some friends, and together they spread the word throughout town, telling everyone about my dedication, my extra practice hours, the silent pain I pushed through. She said she felt that someone who worked so hard, who was so kind to others, deserved to be celebrated. It wasn't pity, it was respect. That understanding changed everything for me. My internal nemesis, that voice of doubt, finally fell silent. My new normal wasn't about being a football star, it was about understanding connection. After graduating, I stayed in our small town, attending the local community college, studying physical therapy, hoping to help others recover from injuries. I started volunteering with the high school's junior varsity team, not just coaching, but mentoring, especially the kids who might be on the sidelines or who felt overlooked. I made sure they knew they were valued, that their effort mattered, no matter their role. I started a small program to collect old sports equipment and repair it, making sure every kid who wanted to play had the gear they needed, remembering the struggle with my own worn-out cleats. I never forgot that feeling of being alone, and I made it my mission to ensure no other kid in our town felt that way. The town, in turn, embraced this spirit. My story became a local legend, a reminder of what community truly meant. Years later, I'm an assistant coach for the high school team, and I'm a licensed physical therapist. One autumn evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery oranges and purples, I stood on the sidelines during a junior varsity game. It was my old field. I noticed a young boy, probably 14, sitting alone on the bench, his head down, a slight limp visible as he occasionally shifted his weight. He was wearing an old, slightly too big jersey. I walked over and sat beside him. "Tough game, huh?" I asked gently. He nodded, not looking up. "I just feel like I'm not good enough, Coach Sam, like I'm holding everyone back with my leg." I smiled, a knowing smile. "Let me tell you a story," I began, "about an 18-year-old kid who thought his senior game would be played to an empty stadium, and how he learned that sometimes the biggest cheers come when you least expect them." As I spoke, I noticed an older, tattered banner hanging in the back of the gym where they kept old sports memorabilia. It was faded, but I could still make out the bold, hand-painted letters. Samus Spirit SHINES. It was a small twist of fate, a quiet reminder that the kindness shared, the resilience shown, truly does ripple outward, changing not just one life, but an entire community, proving that things truly do get better, and you are never, ever alone.